On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We've got a lot going on in the news. And again, crime used to pay, but it's certainly not anymore. We've got a lot of people that are getting caught up in this, a lot of lawsuits that are starting to happen all over the nation. And again, Comey trying to fight some stuff. Again, we just got this big drama going on. Let's get the ball rolling. Good news from Tennessee. Congrats, Tennessee. You guys pulled it off on that 7th district. You actually managed to keep the GOP candidate in there. That was, in my opinion, a big victory. I guess it was significantly closer than we wanted it to be. John Thune was sort of making I don't want to say a victory walk. It was more the opposite, but essentially complaining that this is the problem that we face, that we might not actually be able to pull off a victory in the midterm elections. John Thune saying this basically. And what I'm going to call out, John, is it's because of you, the Senate. You guys have not put the people in office that need to be put in office. Here we are almost a year into Trump's administration, and you have not managed to get a whole bunch of people in. We've got the stupid blue slip stuff. Again, the Senate. Filibuster, I don't know. That's up to you guys, but that might be something that you should try to get rid of, maybe. I don't know. But we've got a serious problem, and it's because we're not accomplishing anything. And that is because of the Senate. So yes, John Thune, if we don't manage to accomplish anything in the next election, which I think is going to change with some stuff coming up, it's going to be the Senate's fault, John. Just to let you know. So that's it. We've got some good news out of Indiana. They've now proposed a constitutional amendment letting judges and prosecutors get impeached if they let violent criminals run rampant. This is how it's done. Bring it in. I'm curious how it's written. But whatever, they're trying to put it through. So good stuff. That should be happening on a larger scale. Dr. Oz urging 69 million seniors to act in last week of Medicare enrollment. Holy crap, really? 69 million people. We got a population of what, roughly 330-ish? That's a good chunk of that. Damn. Okay, whatever. 69 million people, though. Medicare, your enrollment's happening. I think you're in your last week of that. So make sure you do that properly, find the right plan that fits you and all that. I don't want to pretend I understand how that works. Get a supplemental too. I guess you're supposed to do that. Democrat mayor asked for federal help after a mass shooting at a child's birthday party. This is shocking. It's a Democrat mayor in Stockton, California. Nasty shooting happened, killing a bunch of children, wounding 11 people. And she's literally going, yeah, Trump, I think we need some of your help. And that's got to be pissing off, people like Gavin Newsom, because obviously they're not doing anything about it. But they're overrun by crime, gangs, all that stuff. She's talking about it. So, again, huge. Gavin Newsom, he's opposing that billionaire tax we were talking about, which makes sense considering that's who his donors are. Now, they literally were going after 200 individuals. 200 individuals in California are billionaires, or at least were relative to last year and this year. This year and next year, I guess, basically is how that's going to work out. So he's saying, no, I don't want to do that. I will veto it, which, again, he's trying to run for office. This would be a lot of the people that would be putting money in his pocket. So he's like, yeah, I'm not going to give you another 5% tax and give it to the state. Screw that. How about you put half that in my pocket and we'll call it a day, which is exactly what he's doing. I guarantee it. Donald Trump, truth this. For years, the Biden administration weaponized the justice system against their political opponents and anyone who disagreed with them. One of the clearest examples of this was when Crooked Joe used the FBI and DOJ to take out a member of his own party after highly respected Congressman Henry Queller bravely spoke out against open borders and the Biden border catastrophe. Sleepy Joe went after the congressman and even the congressman's beautiful or wonderful wife, Imelda, simply for speaking the truth. It is an un-American, and as I previously stated, the radical left Democrats are a complete and total threat to democracy. They will attack, rob, lie, cheat, destroy, and decimate anyone who dares to oppose their far-left agenda, and agenda that, if left unchecked, will obliterate our magnificent country. Because of these facts and others, I am hereby announcing my full and unconditional pardon of beloved Texas Congressman Henry Queller and Imelda. Henry, I don't know you, But you can sleep well tonight. Your nightmare is finally over. I don't know if Queller is an actual Hispanic. If he is, it would be Cuellar, but I don't actually know. I keep feeling like everyone says Queller. Whatever. Sorry if I said it wrong. I don't know what he looks like. It would help. Any and all documents, proclamations, executive orders, memorandums, or contracts signed by order of the now infamous and unauthorized auto pen within the administration of Joseph R. Biden Jr. are hereby null, void, and of no further force or effect. Anyone receiving pardons, commutations, or any other legal document so signed, please be advised that said document has been fully and completely terminated and is of no legal effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter, said Donald Trump. Dum dum dum. We're going to be crawling up inside of some people's orifices, if you know what I mean. ICE strike team has been deployed to Minneapolis after bombshell Somali welfare fraud report linked to overseas terror. This is going to get interesting. Here we've got Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, pining to his Somali voters, even though they shouldn't be voting in elections, should they?
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan Ku Janila Hai, Waan Ku Gereb Taganahan.
Yeah, it just flowed off his tongue, didn't it? Almost like he's been speaking it forever. I'm, of course, being kidding. Someone obviously wrote that for him. I think it means something to the effect of, Minneapolis is proud to be the home of the largest Somali community in the country. They are our neighbors and friends. Let's see. And he switched to Somali. He says, we love you. We stand with you. We aren't backing down. There you go. So we've also got the sheriff that is doing much the same. They're getting all freaked out about what Trump administration's doing in Somaliland.
Folks that are masked, that they're not sure if they're law enforcement, that they may be kidnapping people. Like, we have had those reports. I want to be clear to the community. The community should know that if you see something like that, that is legitimate, that you don't know if someone is law enforcement, you should call 911. And you should provide as much information as possible, because let's not forget, we very recently had tragedy in this state by someone who was purporting to be law enforcement. So please, let's be clear. That's something everyone should report, and that we will immediately respond to, and we will document. Whether it's somebody's not sure if there's a kidnapping happening, somebody's not sure if that there's law enforcement present or not, and that's something else that's additional policy requirements that we are implementing, that we will document and report these types of things anytime that we hear it, and reminding our officers of their duty to intervene. So if there is anything that is a violation of someone's human rights or civil rights, excessive force or anything like that, they absolutely have a duty to intervene as police officers.
So they are definitely trying to do their own form of escalation. I think some of this is meant to try to aggravate them, and if they can get them to misbehave and actually attack federal officers, well, it's now a federal crime, and a lot of things can start to happen. Trump administration uncovers massive foreign trucker illegal license operation in Minnesota. Huge. Duffy has been digging into this, and they found it's pretty bad. He directly called out Governor Tim Walz in a statement. He says, our audit exposes yet another example of foreigners taking advantage of Minnesota services under Governor Walz's watch. Minnesota failed to follow the law and illegally doled out trafficking licenses to unsafe, unqualified non-citizens, endangering American families on the road. That abuse stops now under the Trump administration. The department will withhold funding if Minnesota continues this reckless behavior that puts non-citizens gaming the system ahead of the safety of Americans. Trump freezes all immigration, asylum applications from the 19 high-risk nations, one of which is Somalia, Haiti, a few of the problems that we've got going on. But this is a pretty big freeze that we've got. I don't know if this is worth playing. We'll see.
During your topper, you said, and I quote, leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. Can you explain what you mean by our nation's national identity and integrity and character, and how would refugees, people coming from war-torn places who are seeking safe haven in America, like many of our forebears in this room, not add to our nation's integrity and character of our national identity?
I'll tell you what does not add to our nation's character and integrity is refugees who come here under the alleged plight of asylum and fleeing persecution, and then come to the United States to abuse our system and rip off American taxpayers. And as I pointed out, the New York Times, to their credit, it was about 6 months too late, but they did write about how Somali immigrants in Minnesota have been ripping off American taxpayers. In fact, 86 people have been charged in a rampant and widespread fraud scheme spanning multiple programs in Minnesota. Of those 86, 78 of those people are Somali, 91% of them charged. So far, 59 of those people have been convicted for their roles in fraud plots that have stolen $1 billion from taxpayers. In one scheme, and this is egregious, a nonprofit and its affiliates with these Somali migrants claimed to have fed tens of thousands of American children during the pandemic. They were reimbursed for those meals by taxpayers. However, federal prosecutors found that almost all of those meals were never even delivered to hungry children. In fact, those organizations' leaders spent the money on houses, luxury cars, and real estate in Turkey and Kenya. Another scheme involved hundreds of organizations who were reimbursed for services that were supposed to help people at risk of homelessness. Once again, those services were never provided. All of this has happened under Democrat leadership in a Democrat-run state, where these refugees, these migrants are coming to the United States. They are abusing our system. They are draining our resources that should be going to law-abiding, taxpayer-funded, tax-paying Americans. And this president is not going to put up with it anymore.
We're not going to take it. No, we ain't going to take it. Treasury targets money laundering network supporting Venezuelan terrorist organizations Tren de Aragua. This is pretty sweet. Today, the U.S. Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Asset Control sanctioned key affiliates of the designated foreign terrorist organization Tren de Aragua. Notably, today's action includes the designation of Venezuela entertainer Jimena Romina Araya Novarro, right? Who is part of a network of 5 persons affiliated with the entertainment industry that have provided material support to TDA. Rosita, for example, reportedly helped the notorious head of TDA, Hector, Rutherford Guerrero Flores, a.k.a. Nino Guerrero. He escaped from the Tocaron prison in Venezuela in 2012, and others in this network have laundered money for TDA leaders. OFAC is also sanctioning 5 additional key TDA affiliates and 1 entity located in South America. Under President Trump, barbaric terrorist cartels can no longer operate with impunity across our borders. The Tren de Aragua network's narco-trafficking and human smuggling operations have long posed a grave threat to our nation. This is all coming from Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent. At the direction of President Trump, we will continue to use every tool to cut off these terrorists from the U.S. and global financial system and keep American citizens safe. TDA is an FTO that organized in Venezuela and continues to expand throughout the Western Hemisphere. TDA engages in a range of criminal activities, including drug trafficking, migrant smuggling, and human trafficking, extortion, sexual exploitation of women and children, money laundering, and murder for hire, among others. Quite the laundry list, it seems. Marco Rubio posted this: the United States is taking decisive action in response to the atrocities and violence against Christians in Nigeria and around the world. The State Department will restrict U.S. visas for those who knowingly direct, authorize, fund, support, or carry out violations of religious freedom. This visa policy applies to Nigeria and other governments or individuals that persecute people for their religious beliefs. It's awesomeness. This is Marco Rubio talking about the radical Islamic movements. I just want to be very clear, and he says it often. He speaks of the radical Islamic movements. Any radical movement, just by the definition of what it is bad. There are radical Christians. I'm not trying to make up for the radical Islamists. They're probably, Sharia law and stuff like that just doesn't work, especially in our Western world. But there's radical Muslim, radical Islam, probably radical Hindi out there, or Hindus out there, sorry. Hindi is what they speak. So again, there's radical Jews. Radical's not good, right? But he's calling out probably one of the greatest groups of people causing some of the largest problems on this planet, or at least they're hiding behind the banner of this religion. Either way.
Ultimately, all radical Islamic movements in the world identify the West writ large, but the United States in particular, as the greatest evil on the earth. And every chance they have, the notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people. And radical Islam has designs openly on the West, on the United States, on Europe. We've seen that progress there as well. And they are prepared to conduct acts of terrorism. In the case of Iran, nation-state actions, assassinations, murders, you name it, whatever it takes for them to gain their influence and ultimately their domination of different cultures and societies. That's a clear and imminent threat to the world and to the broader West, but especially to the United States, who they identify as the chief source of evil on the planet. Okay, the reason why they hate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the leadership of the UAE, of Bahrain, is because they've allowed the United States to partner with them. That's why they hate them. They consider them infidels for it. They hate Israel. But they also hate America. And they hate anywhere in the world that we have influence. They seek to attack it, including here in the homeland. If you look at the domestic terrorists, the attacks that have happened here domestically, the overwhelming majority of them have been inspired by radical Islamic viewpoints. And that includes the shooting in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. That includes the Saudi pilot in Pensacola, my home state, 2 attacks.
Again, we've had radical Christians that have done weird things in this country too. And again, I'm not trying to besmirch. I just very much, you guys know this, I just very much dislike when we label a specific group of people as an enemy, because that's just like the standard way that you label them as such, and then now you can attack them. And I frankly don't like the idea that we kill as many people as we do, right? So a lot of times that is a bit of a problem I live with, right? Not all you guys necessarily care about that stuff, but how Palantir shifted course to play key role in ICE deportations. It's kind of funny how this is playing out, but these guys are supposedly, there's a software system, Palantir's software system, apparently. It's now assisting immigrations and custom enforcement in tracking and accelerating deportations of undocumented immigrants. We originally spent $30 million on this no-bid contract. It's been renewed in September to $60 million, and it enables near real-time monitoring of border encounters, asylum applications, and voluntary departures, aligning with Trump's mass deportation push, including pausing applications from 19 countries. It seems this software is able to help us with these problems. Obviously, our typical government software sucks. So something that's kind of interesting that's happening. This is just a crazy story. Normally, I don't care what NPR thinks, but it's just kind of funny that they're claiming the dude that shot the 2 National Guards members in the head, the Afghan national that was a CIA operative, he claimed that the shooting suspect he wasn't radicalized. He had a personal crisis. Their words, personal crisis. That's why he did what he did. So we should, give him some leniency because he had potential PTSD from prior U.S. military collaboration. This is what they're trying to say. So he went out and shot 2 guardsmen, because that's what, when somebody has an issue, does, right? Personal crisis. That's just insanity. Just get a friggin' emotional support dog like everybody else. Come on, man. Or a pony, whatever makes you happy. My pillow, that makes me happy. Getting sleep anyways makes me happy. We've got an incredible sale going on. They're doing this awesome cyber blowout, and you guys want to take advantage of this. I don't know how long it's going to last, maybe the week at best. They're blowing out on the My Pillows. If you have not tried their My Pillow, you are missing out on the greatest pillow ever. They limit it to 10 because literally they're that good you could sell them. And the way they come wrapped, it's amazing how small they are. Incredible pillow, though. You will be amazed. You will be just blown away, and it's less than $15. That's insane. Like an incredible pillow, best pillow ever for less than $15. It's out of control. Also, the My Slippers, these things are incredible as well, and they're doing a blowout sale. Look at that thickness of that fuzz, that fur. It's so awesome. It's like putting your foot in a cloud. Literally. They got stitching on the side. It's like 7 layers. It's like got a rubber sole on it. These are really durable. And they're also giving that leather spray. You can wear them outside if you want to. I think it's an indoor shoe, personally. That's how I roll. But, all said, some people live wild. I've seen people at the coffee shop with me and my girlfriend there in the morning, and they come in wearing, looks like My Pillow slippers, frankly. They're walking in wearing slippers and their pajamas. And there you go, or panjamas, as my girlfriend calls them, because they've got those here too. Also, blankets, comforters, duvets, all that great stuff. $25 is what they're starting at. They've got incredible. Their comforters, again, I need to get another one. I should take advantage of this sale. That, I'm going to get more socks, too. We'll talk about that in a second. But the comforters are incredible. The down comforter is really good. It's got little square packs on it, so the down actually stays put. I've washed mine, and it takes the washing beautifully. Then just do like a gentle, not even heat. You just do a no heat and, tumble it for a while. But it came out awesome. Worked amazing, and it didn't have any problems, and it didn't lump up and clump up. It's again, all the down stayed where it was supposed to, and it's awesome. Back to using it like normal. I just want to get a second one because I think it's a good idea. Also, the socks. These are the ones. These are incredible socks. They're just incredible socks. $3.99 a pair. They're really good. I'm definitely going to buy more. I love them. They're strange. They just fit so well. They're very comfortable, but they fit tight. But they don't leave like grooves in your skin. They just fit like they're supposed to. It's a really, really well-made sock. It's kind of weird. Again, wicking is what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to wick away moisture. It does it perfectly, especially as close to the foot as it is. There's no places where moisture can hide. Also, they're doing these 5-packs of the spiritual pillows, little roll-and-go pillows that are perfect for kids. They can fit in their backpack and stuff like that. For 5 packs for $29.98. It's a great way to get a bunch of these. You got some grandkids, you got kids of your own. It's a great way to do that. Mike Lindell's doing his different crosses. My cross, it's a sterling silver. You got the 2 different kinds here in the front, the white with the silver outing and the black with the silver outing. Looks like it's a slightly different version than it used to be. So they've probably gone to a new type, but it still looks really cool. Hopefully you guys dig on those. We've got, of course, My Store. Remember that. There's a whole bunch of products over on the My Store. Use OTF coupon code over there as well. It's going to save you all sorts of money. Giza sheets, they're giving them away 50% off. You'll be amazed. They're incredible. The deep pockets, that fourth corner is easy to get on, and the mat, it just stays really well. I mean, it's just, they're super deep pockets. They've got a lot of that, the stretchy part, whatever they call it, elastic or whatever it is. And they're just great sheets, incredible sheets. And these are the high thread counts. They're really, really good. Best towels you'll ever use right there. The My Piece towel set. Great colors. It's a 6-piece, so you got the 2 bath, 2 hand, 2 face. Incredible towels, though. And again, just they absorb. It's what Bounty Quicker Picker Upper should be. In fact, I don't even think Bounty's as good as these. These, like I have right by the shower door. It's glass, so I got to squeegee it all. But right by the door, I can't get the squeegee in there, so I just use the towel. Just wipes once and it's gone. It absorbs. It's incredible. I love them. They're the best towels I've ever used. And they're soft and they're just awesome. Love them. And again, they've got the percale sheets. You got kids and stuff like that, and you don't want to necessarily get them Giza sheets because they're just going to pee on them anyways. Come on. Get them the percale sheets. They're really awesome. You got all sorts of cool colors, and they're starting at $29.88. And if you actually love your dog, well, they should be sleeping on a friggin' dog bed. This is basically a My Pillow for your dog. That's what it is. And if you love your dog, I mean, I'm just saying if. It's not everybody does. Some people put their dogs outside overnight and horrible things. $39.98. It's lowest. It starts right there. You got a My Pillow for your dog, and your dog's going to thank you for it. And you should have one in whatever room you tend to hang out in. You should have one in that room. Come on now. They're as cheap as they are. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. Little shizzle. Duffy is ordering the closure of 3,000 trucking schools amid crackdown on deadly migrant drivers. Always reminds me of that Top Gun line. Hey, Mav, what was the name of that truck driving school? Truck Masters, I think it was. I think I might need that. Remember after they got busted for doing the flyby? That's right. I've only watched that movie 6,000 times. Well, Duffy ordered the closure of 3,000 trucking schools amid the crackdown on deadly migrant drivers. So this is good stuff. Good move in the right direction. Apparently, there's another 4,500 providers have been placed on notice for potential non-compliance. Like, you better get your stuff together or else. Quite a few. And, of course, we've got a huge problem with some of the violence that's been happening on the roads, frankly. Maniac who set the homeless man on fire in the subway is seen fleeing in a surveillance footage, and he remains on the loose, not even trying to hide who he is. Dude's just like, da-da-da. I mean, he doesn't necessarily look like he's 100% with it. But the dude's still, running around because that's New York for you. It's obviously the place to commit crimes and get away with it, unfortunately. Chilling new details emerge about the killer migrants responsible for 29 homicides They've all been sprung from New York jails instead of being handed off to ICE. Literally, these guys have homicides all over the place. They're illegal, and they just let them out on the street. There you go. That's it. They've been released onto the streets. Rather than having ICE come and arrest them, which now when they're on the streets, ICE can, but they're harder to find. This is insane. Mamdani says, I'm against any new fossil fuel construction due to climate and want to work on affordability. I think he's really going to destroy New York. And I think Trump's probably looking at it that way, probably figures this dude won't last too long. Ultimately, he's going to do a lot of damage, but Trump's probably thinking from the rebuilding standpoint, he's like, we could rebuild it. It'll be amazing. We'll make it just one giant spire of gold. At least that's probably how Trump would see it. Yeah, this dude's going to destroy New York, but whatever. Today, the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division announced that it has filed federal lawsuits against 6 states, Delaware, Maryland, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington, for failure to produce their statewide voter registration lists upon request. So we'll see that move forward. I think this is Comer and all those dudes are part of this one. But yeah, Assistant Attorney General Harmeet K. Dillon is the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. She's the one that's doing this. States that continue to defy federal voting laws interfere with our mission of ensuring that Americans have accurate voter lists as they go to the polls, and that every vote counts equally, and that all votes have confidence in election results. At this point, all voters have confidence in elections. At this Department of Justice, we will not stand for this open defiance of federal civil rights laws. RNC, they are suing Michigan Secretary of State for allegations of allowing non-residents to vote, saying that she's essentially breaking their own constitution. So RNC Chairman Joe Gruters stated individuals who have never lived in the United States, let alone Michigan, should not have a say in Michigan's elections. He added, Democrat Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson is ignoring the Michigan Constitution by allowing people who don't live in Michigan to vote in Michigan. That's why the RNC is fighting to ensure only lawful votes count. She's also running for mayor and currently is the Secretary of State. So she'll be overseeing her own election for mayor. And we know Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson is not on the up and up. We are sure of that, in fact. Hopefully that can be proven. Jack Smith is being subpoenaed as well. A committee, this is our boy Jim Jordan, the Committee on the Judiciary is continuing to conduct oversight of the operations of the Office of Special Counsel you led, specifically your team's prosecutions of President Donald J. Trump and his co-defendants. Due to your service as special counsel, the committee believes that you possess information that is vital to its oversight of this matter. Based upon communications with your counsel, we understand that you are available to testify at a deposition on December 17th, 2025. Accordingly, please find enclosed a testimonial subpoena for a deposition at 10 a.m. on December 17th, 2025, and a document subpoena for the requested materials to be produced to the committee by December 12th, 2025. 2 subpoenas for Jack Smith. No way he's getting out of this now. Stefanik secures FBI weaponization provision in a defense bill after clash with Speaker Johnson. This is, I don't know what's going on with this, frankly. So this is, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik declared victory over Speaker Johnson after securing the inclusion of a key provision in the National Defense Authorization Act, which aims to prevent the illegal weaponization of federal agencies. This followed a public disagreement between the two over the amendment's removal, allegedly at the behest of Representative Jamie Raskin. So after a productive discussion she had last night with President Trump and Speaker Johnson, the provision requiring congressional disclosure when the FBI opens counterintelligence investigations into presidential and federal candidates seeking office will be included in the IAA/NDA bill on the floor. She wrote, "This is a significant legislative win delivered against the illegal weaponization of the deep state." No idea why this was being fought. If it's like they don't want to, I don't know, they don't want to have to tell if they did. I don't know why Jamie Raskin is trying to, like he didn't want it in there. He wanted it removed. Whatever, it's still in there. GOP Rep Luna files discharge petition to force a vote to ban members of Congress from stock trading. I could see this one getting fought very heavily, and they probably want record of all the different people that are going to vote against it, because all those people are probably taking advantage of the stock trades. Now, not everybody gets that privilege. Only the few that really play ball properly get the secrets. And once you do, well, then you start making millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. So Luna's trying to push that through. Good for her. And also the one that's handling all the UFO stuff. Love that. Trump slated to reverse Biden-era fuel standards. I said this was basically going to cost everybody about $1,000 more per car. They're rolling that back. Yeah, I don't know why there's so much talk around Hegseth in here. All said, yeah, they're going to roll it back. Yeah, okay, this is because the story gets into stuff that has nothing to do with anything. Okay, there you go. That's why. It's the live ones from the Hill like refresh themselves, I think, these live updates. So I think it literally, yeah, changed stories on me. That's what it did. Photos and video from Epstein private island released by House Democrats. This is a big nothing so far. House Democrats released these. Previously unseen photos and videos from Jeffrey Epstein's island, Little St. James, though, again, like I said, well, I mean, we're going to show them, but nothing exciting at all. Supposedly one of the rooms, maybe we can pull this one up and might be bigger here. Yeah, a little bit. So some crazy room, I don't know, weird carpet, right? No trespassing. I mean, that's a kind of a nice room. Floors are fancy. Yeah. Weird to put those in front of a door, huh? Right? You got these bed stands in front of a door? That seems weird. Those sliders and you going around it? Or there's some hidden room? Well, that's really strange. Then what are these? You got an office in front of that. So these must slide or go up or something weird. Huh, that's so strange. I bet when you open it up, it probably looks really cool, but... Oh, and the phone, I guess it had all these speed dials for certain people that he liked to talk to, apparently, often. And finally, this dental chair that's infamous. There was one of these in the low room, that the one that the square boxy looking temple thing, right? I don't know if this is the temple. I swear it didn't recall it having nice wood floors like this. It was likely a different room. But they're, of course, wondering why they have this dental chair. I wonder if he received regular treatments or if they used this to drug people and do something else. Who knows? Whoa. But, yeah, it's those are the picks. That's it. Pretty disappointing, I agree. Kash Patel says, I don't listen to witchcraft, in response to the crazy people in D.C. Check it out.
Investigations, and you bet we have ongoing criminal investigations on both those fronts, because the guy who launched Russiagate, me as a senior staffer back in House Intel, is now the director of the FBI, and I'm not going to end this mission without destroying and leveling the full weaponization that occurred before I got here.
Finally, I know you got to go, but are you hopeful about the future of the FBI, given that institutional resistance and given the fact that there are obviously still deep state actors working against you? Are you hopeful?
Sure. I'm more than hopeful. What I don't listen to is the swamp, and you know that better than anybody. What I do listen to is when I travel across the country and the communities of men and women around the country are coming up to us, not just the FBI employees, but the community saying, we have never felt safer, we appreciate the work you're doing, especially safeguarding our children and our youth and our national security and putting violent offenders in prison where they belong. I listen to the voices of Americans across the country, so does this administration. What I do not listen to and never will listen to is the witchcraft that goes on in Washington, D.C., because that's all they have left, and they're going to sell their pamphlets and try to raise money off of it. But my mission and this mission of the FBI has never been stronger, and we are going to execute it every single day. Hope is not a strategy. The mission of this FBI that we've laid out is.
Mr. Director.
Every single day. I like the way he said that. Good job, Kash Patel. I'm loving our administration right now. Not everybody feels that way, but I think those are the people you shouldn't listen to, frankly. Department of Defense Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson says the Secretary of Navy is investigating allegations against Senator Mark Kelly. Check this out.
Quick follow-up. You mentioned working with partners on the Hill. Another senator on the Hill, the Democrat side, is Senator Mark Kelly. Now, we heard some reporting about a possible investigation into him regarding his status as a retired member of the United States Navy, still on pension, and therefore still under the jurisdiction of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And as such, his membership, you mentioned the seditious six, would that be grounds for possibly bringing him back to active service for an investigation, for NJP, or even a full court-martial?
So you're correct. The Department of War received serious allegations of misconduct against Senator Mark Kelly, and in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice and other applicable recommendations and regulations, we're doing a thorough review of all of these allegations. And the Secretary of War has tasked the Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan, with doing a thorough review, looking into all of these allegations and providing him an update on December 10th. So we will have more information to come on that. But I would just add that this despicable video that Mark Kelly participated in with the seditious six was a politically motivated influence operation that was an attempt to undermine the chain of command, to sow distrust and division in our armed forces. That is absolutely ridiculous, and it puts our warfighters at risk. And again, he doubled down on the Sunday shows. I don't know if you all saw him on the Sunday shows, but he basically insinuated that service members who do not defy President Trump's orders could face potential prosecution in the future when Democrats are back in power. He even called our troops and likened them to those of the Russian military. This is totally disgraceful from an elected official, and the department takes it very seriously, and that is why we have launched this review.
And just to be clear, so if Secretary Phelan were to recommend court-martial, that would be on the board?
What was the question? Sorry.
If Secretary Phelan were to recommend court-martial, that could be an option on the table?
All options are on the table at this moment in time, and we look forward to getting the Secretary of the Navy's review. And the Secretary of War has been very clear in his statements as well that he takes this extremely seriously, and it is unacceptable.
And I believe it's supposed to be present by the 10th, as she said. So that's soon, a week away, right? Today's the 3rd, so we're getting there. Daniel Richmond, a law professor and former attorney to James Comey, he filed a lawsuit Tuesday in U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, seeking to block the Justice Department from using evidence seized from his electronic device during a 2019 to 2020 FBI probe. We'll see what judge this gets in front of. Wouldn't surprise me if it's Boasberg, frankly. Though is he New York or is he D.C.? I forget. He might be Southern District of New York. He's one of the two. Either way, I'm sure the name will be familiar, whoever gets it. What will be interesting, though, is them trying to handle this from the bench, right? Trying to get a district judge, to essentially keep us from being able to use this evidence. But this would actually cause problems in a whole slew of cases, most likely. So very interesting. I don't know if this is a Hail Mary or what. We'll find out. I mean, again, a lot of it I feel like depends on which district judge they get. They're also going to try to say it's past statute of limitations, but there seems to be some arguments as to where that's not true, and I think we'll see that all play out. There's questions, one, whether or not they appeal this or whether or not they refile. Again, a lot of this was procedural. It was not an issue with the actual concept of the case itself. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. This is going to be, again, another thing to kind of keep tabs on. U.S. Magistrate Judge William Fitzpatrick ruled last month that prosecutors committed serious errors in handling the evidence. Again, we'll see. Again, it's like whatever the Trump administration does, they do it wrong. But when Jack Smith gets into everything and doesn't tell anybody, and Judge Boasberg signs off on the FISA warrants with very little information, that's okay. But anything Trump does is, held with extreme scrutiny. Again, we'll see if it holds up. Defense Department Inspector General report on Signal group chat was sent to Congress. This is stupid. They forced us, this is again Axios too, by the way, so some retard told Axios, this likely is a leak that is outside of the purview of, this is probably Congress that leaked it, let's just put it that way. So it's probably a legitimate leak. All said, the information's not been released yet. It's certainly considered classified, but I'm sure we'll find out what's in it soon enough. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz was the guy that was doing the Signal chat and talking about an attack in Yemen or something along those lines. And this is what they're trying to go with. And they involved one of the press in that discussion on accident when it should have been somebody else within the administration. Again, nothing top secret was really discussed, but they tried to make a big damn deal about it then. I'm sure they'll still try to make a big damn deal about it now. Obama Judge Boasberg, the activist judge who's illegally stifling every move Trump makes, has refused to testify at tomorrow's Senate hearing on rogue judges. So now, of course, they're going to have to obviously subpoena him. Then he won't be able to get out of that. So that's not a surprise. Reuters posted this: U.S. judge blocks Trump from cutting Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood in 22 states. Again, another district judge saying this is how you have to spend the money. Trump will win this in the end. This will be appealed, blah, 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 blah. We're familiar with the game at this point. 5 of the Supreme Court cases that are going to be happening this month that we should be keeping tabs on. Trump's ability to fire bureaucrats. That one's going to pop up. We've got a pro-life donor. This has to do with a company that is a pro-life company, and they were subpoenaed by New Jersey, and it's a New Jersey company, I guess, but they were subpoenaed by New Jersey. They wanted to see their donor records. And this company felt that that was, going to go against the First Amendment and all that kind of stuff. We also know that many of the blue states, blue governments, like to go after donors, either try to shame them or try to punish them. So I'm sure some of that comes around the concept of, why do they need to see that? There's no reason to. There's just them asking for it with no real true reason. But they did subpoena it legally, I think, from what I understand of the case when I read through all this. Whatever. We'll see that one play out. Campaign spending limits. This is a strange one, too. They want to make limits, and everybody, that sounds wonderful, because any candidate that has, say, like Big Pharma or something decides to get behind it, or Soros-funded backing in some PAC, right, some PAC of some kind, that they could pump a crap ton of money into one person's candidate, into one person's area, and affect the election of that area. That's not necessarily fair, right? So I don't know. This is one I'm kind of curious about, see where it goes. There's a lot of ways you could spin this. So again, we'll see. Sidewalk preacher suits. It's kind of a weird one. Guys preaching from the sidewalk. You're supposedly specific places in Mississippi where you're allowed to preach, if you will, or something. And so because of that, they arrested him. He already served his time, or actually didn't actually even serve time. I think he just got 10-day sentence that was suspended. If he would have served, he would have been able to file it differently. Anyway, this is a weird case. He's basically filing it because he doesn't want to get in trouble again in the future, because he knows he's going to break the same code in the future. And then finally, case revolving IQ and whether or not somebody's IQ is high enough to be killed. Apparently, your IQ cannot be less than 70. An individual was tested and their IQ was above 70, but there's an error range of like plus or minus 5 points. And because of that, that could have potentially put it below the 70. And so they felt that he shouldn't have to be killed, which is kind of silly. It's like, well, you guys tested it, said it was 72 or whatever the hell. Then that's what his IQ is, right? That's just, we're going to accept that. We're not going to kind of put this wiggle room and everything. That's stupid. It's based off the number. You're saying that the test isn't accurate enough. I don't know. So again, that seems kind of weird to have the wiggle room factored in. It shouldn't be, because it goes both directions, right? He could be smarter. He could be dumber. I mean, this is one I'd like to hear, just because I'd love to hear the cases or the arguments made. All said, those are 5 that are happening. It should be interesting to see where we get there. Right now, you got kids and grandkids. Talking jobs. There's a lot of stuff. They're going to be building data centers. They're going to be building power infrastructure. So electricity for data centers, plumbing, especially for data centers too. They have a lot of water usage for cooling and stuff like that. These are the better jobs. Truck driving, good Lord. These are the better jobs, believe it or not, in the coming days. There is a lot of computer type stuff if they're savvy in those regards. If you've got someone that's just good with their hands, I would highly recommend you help nudge them into one of these skilled labor positions, because ultimately they're going to be huge demand over the next 20 years. 20 years solid. Probably well further than that, but it's going to be growth like nobody's business. And we'll be building and growing all sorts of crazy stuff. So they are talking about the need for a lot of power. Just a fun little story that popped up. They said with all the companies that have these diesel backup generators, I think there's an example of one right here. A number of them are made. There's so many of them that if everybody turned them on at one time, it would create 35 gigawatts of extra power. 35 gigawatts is pretty close to the equivalent of 35 nuclear plants. So it's an interesting idea. Either A, you get some of these people to turn these on and somehow help pay for that, right? If you ever need extra power in certain places. Or B, in the meantime, they might be able to actually figure out how to rent some of these or borrow some of these when they first get data centers off the ground. Maybe they park 40 of these out in front and run it that way. But there's, it seems to be kind of it's diesel, which would piss off the environmentalists, but it is a very easy way to get a lot of power going. So, I don't know, kind of an interesting idea. I mean, you don't really want to just force everybody to turn theirs on and keep them running all the time. That's kind of a crazy idea as well. I mean, they're engines, theoretically, and they're tested on a regular basis. I know that. I was involved with that when I was younger, when I worked for a hospital. But there's still something. It's an engine, they wear and tear, The more it runs, the more you got to keep it repaired and all that good stuff. But it's a solid generator. They're been used for years and years. It's great design. Chinese magnet makers, they are finding a loophole to dodge Beijing's rare earth export controls. Not trying to get too off in the weeds on this one, but apparently these magnets, when they're made, there is teeny tiny percentages of other rare earths that are in them. It's kind of like when they mix steel, they put in some other stuff in it because it helps make it stronger. It's not just iron and nickel or whatever it is. There's more to it, and it gives it different strengths and different abilities, and can handle cold differently depending on how they make it. So there's kind of different sort of group sauces you can make as far as when it comes to these liquid metals. The magnets the same way. So what they're saying is these magnets tend to work better in more extreme temperature ranges when they've got these extra rare earths kind of baked into them. But China's saying you can't have those other additional weird rare earth percentages. You can't have those in there. So what these magnet manufacturers are doing is making these magnets without those rare earths. And it's affecting, they think, the ability of these magnets to work properly, but they'll generally work up to about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So good enough for appliances, but not necessarily for cars and aircraft, because sometimes those can get hotter than 300 degrees. And that's what those extra rare earths in the magnets would help with. Who knows, right? So we'll see. This is one of the ways that they're in China trying to get around the ban on selling these things to the West. And also we've got a chemist here in America that figured out a really neat way to get rare earths out of existing products. So we've got like circuit boards and all sorts of like waste like that. This dude's come up with a really ingenious flash technology, some sort of joule heating. And because of this, he's able to flash out specific ingredients at a time. Like he hits it at a certain temperature or certain frequency or something, and it causes certain metals to fall off the boards, essentially, and then they collect them. And so now we've got rare earths that are already processed, have already been used in manufacturing, and now can be recycled. So this dude's come up with a brilliant way to recycle a lot of the rare earth stuff, which is, I think, super cool, frankly. Trump administration, they canceled interviews this week with 10 Federal Reserve Chair finalists. Trump basically says he got his guy, he picked him. And they've been talking about it. The National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, seems to be the guy that Trump has agreed to go with. I'm assuming Kevin has agreed to do this, at least behind closed doors. Powell doesn't end, I don't think, till March or April, somewhere in that vicinity. So we're not quite there yet, but I think some of this is to put pressure on Powell and the rest of the board for that matter. And they're like, here's who's coming, guys. Get ready. Either do your crazy stuff now or, or forever hold your peace. So, yeah. As far as stocks today, Dow's up a little bit, 1%, not too shabby. NASDAQ's up a little bit. What do we got? Gold's up a little as well, $18 it's up. Let's see where silver's at right now. Looks like silver's up about 27 cents. That's not bad, 27 cents on silver. Cool. Crude oil, still at 58.96. They're expecting that to drop a lot. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it does, but that's not even close to some of the numbers I was hearing. Crypto's doing much better today. They've obviously had a tough end of the week last week and a tough Monday this week. I think they have bounced back quite a bit, up about 5,000 it seems right now. Ethereum as well, everything pretty much for that matter. XRP's up a bit. That's always groovy. It was below $2 on Friday, I want to say. Friday or Monday. I think it dipped below $2, so it's taking some of that back. Kind of fun. All said. Markets have been interesting. They're going to continue to be interesting. What I highly recommend, guys, is gold and silver, specifically silver. Silver is huge. Silver is key. Silver, there's some multipliers baked in, and like I was talking about, I think yesterday, just this year to date, silver's doubled in price, doubled. Now, again, this is indication that the dollar is having a hard time, but some of that is the multiplier effect of silver. I think gold is not quite doubled in price in the year. I don't know. Actually, gold may have. Let's do a quick check on that while we're at it. For the year. So where were we at the beginning of the year? Beginning of the year, 26.69, and we're at 42. So it didn't quite double. It'd have to go to 52 to have doubled. But silver has doubled, in fact. Silver's actually gone, literally doubled in the time span of year to date, which, like I said, is multiplier is baked into it. So it was down at 29.9 at the start of the year, and it's now at 58 something. So again, it was 58.990 or 99. So basically $30 it's up. That's double. That's huge. And that's the multiplier baked into it. So there's manufacturing. There's a lot of different stuff that's used. They're also not mining it as quickly as they kind of should. So there's a lot of factors that come into play. Silver is going to be a money maker for you. Gold is going to protect your wealth. You get a nice combination of both of those. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, you're going to be surprised how much better off you're going to be, especially knowing that we've got some dark days coming for sure. Be prepared. Get out of their system. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system. They can do it tax-free, penalty-free. They move as much of your money sideways as possible. So it's tax-free, penalty-free. It's into physical metals. They're put into a trust. You can grab them later, but that's a payout. Understand that. Tax-free, penalty-free gets as much of that money moved over into precious metals as possible. That's what they're going to help you do. You're going to get up to 10% free silver. That's incredible. And you're also going to get this cool little collector Ronald Reagan's coin. Half-ounce coin, pretty cool. Got a picture of Ronald Reagan. It's 0.999% pure. It's a 50. It's a half ounce, so it's like a 50-cent piece, but it's worth way more than that. In fact, it's worth close to $30 right now. And then it's collector on top of that. Yeah, they're just giving you that for hearing what they have to say. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. 4 data points. It's going to pop up a phone number, says call in 20 minutes or whatever. Yeah, be able to call in 20 minutes. That's where you're going to get the freebie. They're going to hook you up. You're going to get the ball rolling, and you're going to see how you can protect your financial future. And when we go to the new currency, it's going to be backed by physical metals. You're already going to have the physical metals. You're already there. You're going to have the equivalent already. Back when money was backed by gold and silver, if you had gold or silver, that was the equivalent of having money. It worked perfectly. There was no real transition to it like there is now. There was no bid and sell and all this kind of nonsense. It was a straight transfer. You're already going to be there. You're going to get as much of your today's money and buying power saved for tomorrow, whenever that is. This is one of the best ways out there, and Goldco is one of the best at it. They've got the best customer service ever. You're going to love them. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before that system gets out of you. And they want you guys broke, too, by the way. Not like Trump and all them, but the deep state. Maduro could be exiled to Qatar as Trump warns land strikes on Venezuela coming very soon. So those days are coming. They're trying to give him a chance to get the hell out, it sounds like. We'll see. There's been some rumors and whatnot, but we'll see what actually happens. Otherwise, he's going to get rocked. So Maduro, he's not an idiot. You know, he's probably an evil man, but he's definitely not an idiot. We'll see. He's either going to get out or he's going to get smoked. U.S. Navy Doomsday plane, all right? The Navy's Doomsday plane, one of, anyways. It vanished over the Atlantic on a mysterious mission. Yeah, this basically turned off the stupid transponder. Again, it cracks me up. People are like, what? And these are always the fun ones when it just disappears. But that just means you have no idea where it's going. All we know is it went off the coast here in Virginia Beach, and that was the last we heard of it. Now, this thing is cool. It actually has like it does a number of stuff. It's got all sorts of crazy things, but it actually deploys a miles-long trailing wire antenna, kind of like a towed array on a submarine, if you're familiar with that. A long wire. Those wires are how it's able to find submarines and other things too. And my guess is it might be able to find nuclear materials even underwater, depending how they're shielded, even underwater in a lot of cases. So I bet they're looking for something very interesting, and we know that they have been. We know that there's some concerns about potentiality of nukes and or possibilities of stuff off of our coast. And so, again, if they find anything, they would report probably something to like a P3 or P6 Poseidon, whatever the anti-sub plane is. They'd get one of those out there, probably drop a sonobuoy right on top of it, basically saying, we know exactly where you are. I don't recommend you stay there. So we'll see, again, if we hear any stories of explosions off the coast, though we never would. They could blow up a submarine out here and we'd never hear it. We'd never know about it. We'd never even see the oil slick. Unless somebody happened to be riding a boat through there, they might see something. But, yeah, so this plane disappeared. Again, as an example to everybody that thinks this flight trackers are showing everything. No, they only show what they want us to see. Please. That's why it's kind of sort of pointless to a degree. I mean, it's cool, but it's sort of pointless because anything that's legitimately happening is not going to be on there, ever. Pentagon cuts off routine contact with Germany on Ukraine amid this peace push. Literally, they're like, no, we're done with routine communications with you guys. We're not giving you any more information. We're not coordinating with you guys. We're not anything. In Germany, it's like, what did we do? Why? And I'm sure a lot of this has to do with leaks. A lot of this has to do with other things going on. And I think Donald Trump's basically going, look, we're trying to foment peace. And we've got you, England, France, and a number of others that are trying to keep this war going because the deep state needs it to keep going. And Trump is tired of that. And he keeps if he shares anything with Germany, then Germany turns around and tells Europe. Europe turns around and tries to keep it from happening. So Trump's like, we're not telling anybody anything. F all you guys. England, we've cut off. We've cut off Germany, and we cut off France a long time ago. Changed the way we named French fries back then. I mean, freedom fries. You guys remember that? Freedom fries. It was funny as hell. Putin and Witkoff end constructive and substantial Ukraine conflict peace talks after 5 hours. All of this comes down really to a couple key issues. One of them in particular is territory. But the other key issues are security guarantees, NATO aspirations, and restrictions on Ukraine's military, all of which have been well flagged as deal breakers by Moscow. And all these things were discussed. They feel like they are making some progress. One of the key issues is Donbass. That is, Russia wants complete and total control of Donbass. That is one of their key things. Ukraine does not want to give up. There's parts of Donbass that Ukraine still has troops in. And Russia's like, we want Donbass, period, end of story. And Trump's like, but they still got troops there. And Russia's like, yeah, I get that. And he's like, so we can't really ask them to give you land that you haven't won. And they're like, all right, thanks, shake hands, walk away. Okay? And so what's likely going to happen is Russia's going to make sure they take Donbass completely, and then we'll go ahead and have this discussion yet again. So Zelensky's not in a deal-making position. Zelensky kind of really can't say anything other than whatever the United States wants, because we're not going to support this. We're not going to give them money anymore. We're not giving them weapons anymore. We're done with this. This is done. This should stop happening right now, and we need everybody to kind of come to the table and make this better. Now, again, concessions to give up land that you might not have officially totally given up yet or lost yet is a tough sell. I think Russia's ultimately got to take it, and I think that's kind of why Trump has handled this the way he has, to give Russia enough time to ultimately make things happen. We had an explosion, rocks part of Russia's strategic Druzhba pipeline. It was caught on camera. It looks by the people that actually set off this explosion because they were awfully close to it, and then they take off running once it happens. There you go. Yeah, they seemed like they were in a position to be watching what they knew exactly would be happening. So that was sabotage of some kind, obviously. Pentagon deploys new kamikaze drones that were copied from Iranian design. How cool is that? Hey, you got a great design, run with it. And so they did. And now we've got a bunch of drones, and we could mass produce the hell out of these things easily. These are crap weapons right here. Very easy, nice 4-stroke engine on there, by the way. That's pretty big. And plenty of room for fuel. So very cool. And explosive, I think, on the warhead. So we've got, I think, way better explosives when it comes to pounds, how much they weigh for how much boom you get. So kind of cool. Trump tells Netanyahu to stop screwing with Syria's stability in a rare rebuke. Basically tells him, if you do anything, stop doing stuff that's going to mess with Syria's stability. Essentially telling Netanyahu to chill, bro. Calm down. Give them a chance and stop it. Herzog admits Netanyahu pardoned something that's not real popular with parts of the populace. So he's kind of asking for a couple days to kind of get a feel for this. But the idea of pardoning Benjamin Netanyahu is looking questionable at best. We'll see. I don't know if he should necessarily be pardoned, but that's, again, who knows? Who knows for sure what's going on? We do have a lot of crazy crap going on in the world, though, folks, and you know that as well as I do. And I think some stuff is going to start to get a little crazier. But at the same time, we're trying to solidify elections. We're trying to solidify peace, trying to solidify our own borders and getting people out of here as soon as we can. So there is a lot still to do. A lot of it is in progress. A lot of it is going to take months and months to accomplish. So we need to be supporting that effort, I think, to the best of our abilities, with our ripples and everything along those signs as well. So, again, love you guys. I got a live Raw Law of One show. Be doing that tomorrow. I finally got that all recorded. Finished up the last bit of it this morning. 2 good episodes that we've got coming up for tomorrow. 56, 57. We'll be doing those sessions. Also, I've got a great music show coming up. 80s, like rock/metal. It's going to be good. It's a good show. Just good music. Just good old-fashioned classic rock like the good old days. You guys are going to dig it. It's going to be a great show. Both of those shows happen they're Thursday and Friday. They are live at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Music shows Friday, live ones Thursday. So 3 p.m. Pacific, they're live. 6 p.m. Eastern, it's live, right? 5 p.m. Central, live. Mountain Time, I'm not going to say it. It's 4, just in case you're curious. But all those things said, got a lot of things happening. World's changing. You guys are a part of the most amazing time in history. Don't forget that. We're making a huge difference. Keep going. We've got this. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.